Growing Up in Sligoville, a memoir of childhood, resilience, and the journey to a better life. Written and narrated by Marvin Waugh. There are places in this world that never really leave you. No matter how many miles you travel, no matter how many years go by, a part of your heart always remains where your story first began. For me, that place is a small village nestled in the hills of Jamaica called Sligoville. This is more than my story. It's the story of a little boy who was never supposed to see the world, a mother who refused to give up on her son, a village that raised him, and a journey that would carry him from the dirt roads of Jamaica to a new life in America. Along the way, there would be joy, there would be heartbreak, there would be sacrifice, failure, faith, and hope. These are the memories that shaped the man I became. So wherever you're listening from, sit back, close your eyes, and come with me. Let's go back to where it all began. This is Growing Up in Sligoville. My name is Marvin Waugh, and this is my story. Chapter 1. My eyes were meant to open. I was born in 1981 at Spanish Town Hospital in Jamaica. Before I ever took my first steps, before I ever spoke my first words, there was already a question about my future. When I was born, both of my eyelids were completely shut. Days turned into weeks, and my eyes still would not open. No one seemed to know why. Family members began to worry. Some believed the worst. One of my aunts even told my mother, Beatrice Ireland, that she should leave me at the hospital. She told her not to spend her life raising a blind child. Imagine hearing those words about your own newborn son. But my mother never gave up on me. She looked at the doctor with tears in her eyes and asked the question every mother would ask. "Doctor, is my son blind?" The doctor examined me carefully before answering. "No, your son is not blind. His eyes are simply closed." The doctor encouraged my mother to take me home and trust that in God's time, everything would be all right. So Beatrice took her baby home to Sligoville and waited. Every day she prayed, every day she hoped, every day she believed. While my older brothers and sister played outside, they would stop what they were doing and run into the house just to check on me. "Are Marvin's eyes open yet?" One day they looked through the doorway and saw me looking back at them for the very first time. Excited, they rushed into the room. The moment that they burst through the door, I closed my eyes again. Everyone laughed. That was my introduction to the world. Looking back now, I sometimes smile when I think about that story. Before I ever saw the world was already waiting for me. My name is Marvin Waugh. I was born at Spanish Town Hospital, but I was raised in the quiet hills of Sligoville, Jamaica. That little village would shape the man I would one day become. My eyes were meant to open, and once they did, my journey had only just begun. Chapter 2. The day everything changed. As beautiful as my childhood was in Sligoville, there came a time when life began to change. I didn't know it then, but my mother, Beatrice Ireland, was carrying a burden no child could fully understand. She loved Jamaica. She loved her children. But she also wanted something more for us. She dreamed of opportunities that simply weren't available in our little village. Like so many Jamaican parents before her, she made one of the hardest decisions of her life. She left Jamaica to build a future in America. As a child, I didn't understand sacrifice. I only understood that my mother was gone. I missed hearing her voice. I missed seeing her every morning. I missed knowing she was just a few steps away. The house didn't feel the same anymore. Nothing did. For a while, my brother Robert stepped in and helped raise me. He looked after me and did everything he could to make sure I was okay. But before long, Robert also had an opportunity to leave for America. Before he left, he placed me in the care of someone he trusted with all his heart, my former teacher, Miss Blossom Cooper. Miss Blossom had always been kind to me. She had taught me at Sligoville Basic School. She believed in children. She believed in me. Robert knew I would be safe with her. And he was right. Miss Blossom treated me with love and kindness. She made sure I had what I needed and cared for me like one of her own. But living in that house wasn't always easy. Some of her sisters treated me differently. I don't know if they meant to hurt me, but as a little boy, I often felt like I didn't belong. I felt like an outsider. There were days I wondered why life had changed so quickly. I missed my family. I missed my home. I missed hearing my brothers laughing outside. I missed walking through the hills of Sligoville. Most of all, I missed my mother. As children, we don't always understand why adults make difficult decisions. We only feel the emptiness they leave behind. Looking back now as a grown man, I understand what my mother was doing. She wasn't leaving because she didn't love us. She left because she loved us enough to sacrifice being with us. She was building a future that she hoped we would one day share. Every long day she worked, every dollar she saved, every lonely night she spent away from her children, she was doing it for us. At the time, I couldn't see that. I was just a little boy waiting for his mother to come home. Little by little, more of my family made their way to America. One by one, Jamaica began to let us go. I often wondered when my turn would finally come. Would I ever see my mother again? Would I ever live with her again? Would I ever leave Sligoville? Then one day, everything changed. The opportunity finally came. I was going to America. I had no idea that stepping onto that airplane would change the course of my entire life. I was leaving behind the only home I had ever known. The hills, the almond tree, the goats, the school, my friends, my childhood. I couldn't have known it then. But the little boy from Sligoville was about to begin a journey that would shape the rest of his life. The next chapter of my story wouldn't take place on the hills of Jamaica. It would begin beneath the bright lights of Miami, Florida. Chapter 3. The 3-day trip that changed my life. Life had already changed once when I left Sligoville. Now I was living in Waterford, Portmore with Miss Blossom Cooper. I had enrolled at Gregory Park All-Age School, where I was learning to adjust to a completely different environment. Everything felt bigger, busier, faster. I still missed the hills of Sligoville, but little by little I was finding my place. One thing I quickly discovered was that I could run. I loved track and field, and before long I became one of the fastest boys in my school. Running gave me confidence. Every race made me believe a little more in myself. Then one day something happened that seemed almost impossible. Our school was selected to travel to Miami, Florida for a 3-day track and field tournament. America. The place where my mother now lived. The place where my brother Robert had gone. The place I had dreamed about. I couldn't believe I had the opportunity to go. But there was one problem. I needed a visa. As the days passed, it seemed like nobody was going to take me to the U.S. Embassy to complete the paperwork. I honestly believed I was going to miss my chance. Then my sister, Suzette, came from America. She took me to the embassy herself. Suzette was well known in Jamaica because of her success in track and field, and before long, everything came together. I was approved. I was going to America. I thought I was only going for 3 days. God had different plans. When we landed in Miami, our group checked into a Holiday Inn. Meanwhile, my mother, Beatrice Ireland, and my brother Robert had heard that I was staying at a Holiday Inn somewhere in Miami. They searched hotel after hotel trying to find me. What they didn't realize was that I was staying at the Holiday Inn closest to where they lived, less than a mile away. When they finally found the hotel, there was a knock at my door. I opened it. Standing there was my mother. Beside her was my brother Robert. For a moment, I couldn't believe my eyes. After being apart for so long, we were finally together again. I threw my arms around them. It was one of the happiest moments of my life. My mother looked at the teacher who was responsible for our group and said, "I've come to get my son." The teacher knew she wasn't supposed to release me. She could have gotten into serious trouble. My mother and Robert thanked her for taking care of me, gave her some food and clothes, and explained that, one way or another, they were going to bring me home with them. In the end, the teacher made a decision that changed my life forever. She released me into my mother's care. What was supposed to be a 3-day trip became the beginning of my new life in America. I had arrived in Miami as a visitor. I never imagined that I was stepping into the next chapter of my life. Chapter 4. A New World. When I stepped off that airplane, I thought I was just coming to America for 3 days. I had no idea that my life had changed forever. Everything felt different. The roads were wider, the cars were bigger, the buildings stretched farther than anything I had seen back home. Even the air felt different. This wasn't Sligoville anymore. This wasn't Portmore. This was Miami. For a young Jamaican boy, it felt like another planet. The first few days were exciting. I couldn't stop looking out the car window. Everything fascinated me. The traffic lights, the shopping centers, the neighborhoods, the palm trees lined up along the roads. I had seen America in pictures and on television, but standing there in person was something completely different. Eventually, reality began to settle in. America wasn't a vacation anymore. It was home, and home meant starting over. I had to learn a new way of life. I had to understand a different school system. I had to get used to different food, different rules, and different expectations. Even though everyone spoke English, it didn't always feel like they spoke my language. My Jamaican accent made me stand out. Sometimes people laughed when I talked. Sometimes they asked me to repeat myself. Sometimes they acted like I didn't belong. As a young boy, that wasn't easy. Back home, I fit in without trying. Here, I felt different. There were days when I missed Jamaica so much that I could almost smell the hills after the rain. I missed the sound of goats in the distance. I missed walking with Rory. I missed Chris. I missed the almond tree at Sligoville Basic School. I missed Aunt Lenny's dumplings. I missed the simple life I had left behind. But every time I thought about giving up, I remembered why my mother came here in the first place. She hadn't left Jamaica because life was easy. She came because she believed her children could have a better future. Watching my mother work taught me something that no classroom ever could. Success comes with sacrifice. Nothing worthwhile is handed to you. You earn it. Little by little, I started finding my place. I made new friends. I learned new things. I became more comfortable with my new surroundings. The same determination that helped me fight through challenges as a little boy in Jamaica began showing itself again. I wasn't the biggest, I wasn't the richest, but I refused to quit. Looking back now, I realize those early years in Miami were shaping the man I would eventually become. Every challenge made me stronger. Every obstacle taught me another lesson. Every setback became preparation for something bigger waiting down the road. At the time, I couldn't see it. I was just trying to fit in. Years later, I would understand that God wasn't just bringing me to America. He was preparing me for a life I could never have imagined. One day I would leave Miami. I would move to Southwest Florida. I would begin a career delivering furniture. And without knowing it, I would spend the next 19 years learning the skills that would eventually help me build my own company. The little boy from Sligoville was still growing. His greatest journey had only just begun. Chapter 5. Learning the value of work. As I grew older, America slowly became less intimidating. The streets no longer felt unfamiliar. The accent that once made me stand out became part of who I was. I learned how to adapt. Like many young men, I was searching for direction. I didn't have a perfect roadmap. I didn't come from wealth. Nobody handed me success. I knew one thing for certain. If I wanted a better life, I was going to have to earn it. Growing up in Jamaica had already taught me the value of hard work. Tying out goats with Rory, walking the hills of Sligoville, making toys out of cardboard boxes, finding joy in the little things. Those experiences had built something inside me that money could never buy. They built character. As I entered adulthood, I found an opportunity that would shape nearly the next 2 decades of my life. I went to work for Matter Brothers Furniture. At first, it was just a job. I was there to earn a paycheck, to pay my bills, to help my family. But before long, it became much more than that. Every morning I climbed into a delivery truck knowing someone was waiting for us. Families were moving into new homes. Couples were furnishing their first apartments. Retirees were creating their dream homes. We weren't just delivering furniture. We were delivering milestones in people's lives. The work wasn't easy. There were heavy dressers, massive entertainment centers, king-size bedroom sets, dining room tables that had to be carried up narrow staircases. Luxury furniture delivered to beachfront homes. Long days under the hot Florida sun. Some deliveries tested every ounce of strength I had, but every challenge made me better. I learned how to protect furniture. I learned how to carry difficult pieces without damaging a customer's home. I learned how to solve problems under pressure. Most importantly, I learned how to treat people. A customer might forget exactly what time you arrived. They might forget what truck you drove, but they would never forget how you made them feel. I began treating every customer the way I would want someone to treat my own mother, with respect, with patience, with professionalism. Day after day, year after year, I kept showing up. I wasn't chasing recognition. I simply wanted to become the best at what I did. Over time, people began to notice. My managers trusted me. Customers requested me. I delivered furniture throughout Southwest Florida, from Fort Myers and Cape Coral to Sanibel, Captiva, and beyond. Some of the most beautiful homes I had ever seen were on my delivery route. But what impressed me most wasn't the size of the houses. It was realizing that every successful person I met had started somewhere. That gave me hope. If they could build something, maybe one day I could too. 19 years passed faster than I ever imagined. The delivery truck became like a second home. My coworkers became family. The job taught me discipline. It taught me consistency. It taught me that excellence isn't something you do once. It's something you do every single day. Looking back now, I realized God was preparing me. I thought I was simply delivering furniture. In reality, I was receiving an education that no college could teach. I was learning customer service, leadership, problem solving, time management, teamwork, and the importance of protecting someone's belongings as if they were your own. Without realizing it, I was preparing to build something that would one day belong to me. I didn't know when, I didn't know how, but deep inside, I could feel that my journey wasn't meant to end as an employee. The little boy from Sligoville had bigger dreams. One day, those dreams would have a name. MWR Movers, Chapter 6, Betting on Myself. There comes a moment in every person's life when they have to decide whether they are going to spend the rest of their life building someone else's dream, or finally have the courage to build their own. For me, that moment didn't happen overnight. It had been growing inside me for years, 19 years. For nearly 2 decades, I gave Matter Brothers everything I had. I showed up early. I worked hard. I treated every customer with respect. I learned every part of the moving and delivery business. I wasn't just carrying furniture anymore. I understood logistics, customer service, scheduling, teamwork, problem solving. I knew how to protect expensive furniture. I knew how to lead a crew. I knew how to calm nervous customers. I knew how to get the job done. The experience was priceless. But something inside me kept whispering, "You were made for more." At first, I ignored that voice. Starting a business sounded risky. I had bills. I had responsibilities. I had a family depending on me. A steady paycheck felt safe. But dreams have a funny way of refusing to stay quiet. The longer I worked, the louder that voice became. I started asking myself questions. What if I can do this myself? What if I build a company that treats every customer the way I believe they should be treated? What if I build a team that works with pride? What if I bet on me? Those questions stayed with me for months, maybe even years. Finally, I reached a decision. It was one of the hardest decisions of my life. I walked away from the security of a career I had built over 19 years. I wasn't walking away because I hated the job. I was walking toward a dream. That dream became MWR Movers. When I first started, I didn't have everything figured out. There were days I wondered whether I had made the right decision. Some weeks the phone barely rang. Some months were better than others. There were moments when fear tried to convince me to quit. Building a business isn't glamorous. People often see the successful company. They don't see the sleepless nights. They don't see the worry. They don't see the sacrifices. They don't see the days when you wonder how you're going to make payroll or pay your own bills. Being a business owner means carrying the weight that other people never see. If the truck breaks down, it's your problem. If business slows down, it's your problem. If a customer isn't happy, it's your problem. If an employee can't work, it's your problem. There is nobody else to blame. But there is also something beautiful about building something with your own hands. Every satisfied customer reminded me why I started. Every 5-star review felt like proof that I was on the right path. Every referral meant someone trusted us enough to recommend our work. That trust became the foundation of everything we built. I wanted MWR Movers to stand for more than moving furniture. I wanted people to know that when they hired us, they were hiring people who cared. We wrapped every piece as if it belonged to our own family. We showed up on time. We treated customers with respect. We understood that we weren't just moving couches and boxes. We were moving memories, wedding albums, baby cribs, family heirlooms, the things that make a house feel like home. As the years passed, the business began to grow. One customer became 10, 10 became 100. One five-star review became dozens, then dozens became more than 100. Each review represented a family that trusted us during one of the biggest transitions of their lives. That trust meant everything to me. Looking back now, I realize something. The little boy who tied goats with Rory, the teenager who dreamed of America, the young man who spent 19 years delivering furniture. They were all preparing me for this moment. Nothing had been wasted. Not the struggles, not the long days, not the disappointments. Every chapter of my life had become part of the foundation on which MWR Movers was built. Starting my business wasn't the end of my journey. It was the beginning of a new one. Because owning a business doesn't mean life suddenly becomes easy. In many ways, the hardest lessons were still waiting for me. 7. The journey continues. People often ask me what success looks like. Some think it's the trucks. Some think it's the money. Some think it's the five-star reviews. To me, success is waking up every morning with another opportunity to keep building. MWR Movers didn't become one of the preferred moving companies in Southwest Florida overnight. It took years of hard work, years of sacrifice, years of learning from mistakes, years of showing up, even when I didn't feel like it. Some days the phone rang nonstop. Other days it barely rang at all. Some jobs went exactly as planned. Others tested every ounce of patience I had. I've learned that owning a business means solving problems every single day. A truck breaks down, you figure it out. A customer has concerns, you listen and make it right. Business slows down. You don't quit. You market harder. You knock on more doors. You make more phone calls. You keep believing. That's what entrepreneurship has taught me. Pressure isn't the enemy. Pressure is part of the process. There were moments when I questioned myself, moments when the responsibility felt heavy. As a business owner, you carry more than your own dreams. You carry the livelihoods of the people who work beside you. Their families depend on your decisions. That responsibility humbled me. It also made me stronger. Every year we kept growing. One truck became another. Another truck became another opportunity. Each new truck wasn't just another vehicle. It was proof that we were moving forward. One customer became 100. 100 became hundreds more. Then came the five-star reviews. Every review represented someone's trust. Someone invited us into their home, trusted us with their memories, believed we would treat their belongings with care. That trust means more to me than any number on a bank account. Today, MWR Movers proudly serves Fort Myers and the surrounding communities. We've built relationships. We've earned respect. We've become a name that many families recommend to their friends and neighbors. But in my heart, I believe this is only the beginning. I can already see the future. One day we'll have a branch in Miami, another in Tampa, another in Orlando, then Jacksonville, Atlanta, Dallas, Phoenix, Los Angeles, one city at a time, one satisfied customer at a time, one family at a time. Maybe one day MWR Movers will serve people across the entire United States, not because we were the biggest, but because we never forgot what made us different. Treat people right, work hard, protect what matters, keep your word. Those principles carried me from the hills of Sligoville to the streets of Miami to Southwest Florida, and I believe they'll carry us wherever God chooses to lead us next. When I think back to the little boy whose eyes stayed closed for nearly a month, I can't help but smile. No one knew what my future would hold. No one knew where life would take me. But my mother, Beatrice Ireland, believed in me. The doctor believed I would be all right. God had his own plan. Every chapter of my life has taught me something. Sligoville taught me humility. Portmore taught me resilience. America taught me opportunity. Matter Brothers taught me excellence. MWR Movers taught me faith. And life continues to teach me that success is not a destination. It's a journey. As I write these words, my story is still being written. There are still mountains to climb, still dreams to chase, still people to help, still places to go. If there's one lesson I hope you take from my story, it's this. It doesn't matter where your journey begins. It matters that you never stop moving forward. Whether you're growing up in a small village in Jamaica, starting over in a new country, or taking a chance on a dream that scares you, don't let fear write your ending. Keep believing. Keep working. Keep trusting God. Keep moving, because your greatest chapter might still be waiting to be written. The end, or perhaps just the beginning.